Good morning, YouTube and Facebook. My name is Jeff Blum. I'm the author of the book It's Across the Answer. It is December 8th, 2013, and the title of today's 6-minute sermon is Forgiveness or Forgotten. Forgiveness or Forgotten. Now, I received this message a couple of weeks ago. I just didn't have the title. I was just downloading it from the Spirit, if you will, by faith. And finally, it all came together and made sense. It's not easy to do it in 6 minutes, but I'm going to give it a shot and try to make it as clear as possible. Forgiveness or forgotten are two extremes. God totally forgives you, or he totally forgets you. Now that may seem harsh, but he doesn't like fence riders. He doesn't like the gray area. Some people, if you would think of a sports analogy, some people putting on the uniform and playing for God in one game, and the next game putting on the uniform and playing for hell. That's fence riding, just hopping the fence from one side to the other. You really can't choose a side. The Bible in the book of Revelation says that God either likes you hot or cold. Either you're all in for him or you're totally against him. He respects that. He says, but if you are lukewarm, that means a fence rider, he spews you out. So you are either totally forgiven or totally forgotten. And that's basically it. Now, why am I doing a 6-minute sermon on this today? Because in my mind's eye, and I've looked at a lot of sermons, I've heard about a lot of preachers and their sermons they've preached over the centuries. I've never heard of anyone preaching on the level of the forgiveness and the truth of it today in the context of what it means through the resurrection of Jesus. And I'll explain that to you in a moment. I've never heard it preached like it is today since Jesus walked this earth. To me, that is a clarion call or a message from God saying, it is time to be forgiven before you are totally forgotten. It is time to accept my invitation to heaven and all eternity and become an adopted child of mine, or it is time for you to be completely displaced and separated from me, and for me to take that invitation and rescind it or take it away permanently so that I may move on. And you may say that's harsh, but if you understand the level of love that God has for all humanity, you'd understand it's not harsh. Because if we carried that much love for an individual and they kept rejecting us, kept saying that we didn't exist, that people that followed us were handicapped, that, Jesus was a crutch, some manifestation that we need in our mind to help us cope with life. Life is just not that difficult. What people get in their minds is just ludicrous. In order to avoid God, for what? But anyway, I digress. When you look at what God has done and the amount of love that he has, to reject it, well, why wouldn't God rescind the invitation? You're saying you don't want to be a part of what he's doing. Now, forgiveness or forgotten. Why am I preaching it now? Why is this message going out now? I believe it is a warning, because the last time this was preached was when Jesus walked the earth. No one preached forgiveness the way that Jesus did. No one showed it as an example. No one was in a living epistle as Jesus was of forgiveness. No one was. Not even this message here. Nothing was done the way Jesus did it. If that was the last time it was preached, then what does it say about today? Because remember, when Jesus finished preaching that message in 3 short years, that's all he was in ministry, 3 to 3.5 years. If he was preaching that message and no other message about the kingdom and God's love and forgiveness, and then he was gone. And then he went to fulfill everything for those who did receive forgiveness. Think about that. If he did in that short period of time, how long is this message of forgiveness going to be preached now? In my mind, it started in the past year, fully. I've been thinking about this as I've written my book probably now for 2.5 years. But fully, it's been being preached worldwide about a year now. How much longer before the message saturates the earth? And then what? Isn't that a question? people are talking about blood moons coming up and things like that. I just think it's time to be aware. And even if you're not a gospel person, what about people constantly collapsing the economy and then doing whatever they want and then trying to do it again like they are today? What about people starving people and doing all these other things? These are people doing this that are being led by an evil spirit. It's not God doing it. God gives man free will to choose. You either all in or all out. And if man chooses to play for hell, that's their choice. But they're planned to be forgotten. And my point to you is this. Even God forgives all of those people. His love burns so much for all of humanity. He's screaming to everyone, I forgive you. Now stop doing what you're doing so that these people can stop suffering here on earth. But they're not stopping, are they? The risk that they are making, the risks that they're making is that they will be forgotten for all eternity.